Some names are just plain lies. French fries? Not French. German chocolate cake? You guessed it, not German. And don't even get us started on turkey. The bird, not the country. From geography fails to food frauds, we're counting down 10 things named after the wrong place. And the final one will have you questioning everything you thought you knew up to this point. Just kidding, but it's big. Let's set the record straight, starting with the most delicious deception of all. They're golden, they're crispy, they're delicious, and they are not from France. You've been dipping a lie in ketchup your whole life. The beloved French fry may have originated in Belgium, where some historians claim locals were deep frying potatoes as early as the late 1600s. There's just one problem. Potatoes didn't even reach the region until around 1735. And to make things even crispier, Spain is also a contender. It was the first European country to get potatoes from its colonies, and they may have beaten everyone to the fry game. But what about the name? French fries caught on during World War I, when American soldiers were stationed in French-speaking parts of Belgium. Locals introduced them to the soldiers, and the troops, hearing French, just assumed the fries were French too. And voila, the name stuck. Meanwhile, in Belgium, fries are a national treasure, often served in paper cones with mayo. That's right, fries with mayo. It's both weird and weirdly amazing. You should try it if you haven't. Seriously. So next time you order French fries, remember, you might be biting into a little Belgian brilliance. But don't rush to ask for Belgian fries just yet unless you want a confused look and possibly a salad. Maybe one day though. One day. The turkey, majestic, delicious, and cursed with one of the most misleading names in history. Because despite what it's called, the turkey is not from Turkey. It's 100% North American. Indigenous peoples had been domesticating these birds long before Europeans even knew they existed. So, where did the name come from? Well, when the birds made their way to Europe in the 1500s, people mistook them for guinea fowl, which were already being imported via Turkish traders. So the English, logically, or maybe illogically, started calling them turkeys. That's right, a bird from America got named after a bird from Africa because of a trade route through Asia. And the global confusion didn't stop there. In French, it's dinde, short for poule d'Inde, chicken from India. In Russian, it's indaika, also Indian bird. In Greek, galopola, literally French bird. This poor bird has been passed around the map like a bad group project. So, no, it's not Turkish, or Indian, or French. It's American. But hey, at least it's not called a Belgian chicken. Yet. What's sleek, summery, and screams tropical style? The iconic Panama hat. Just one thing. It's not from Panama. These finely woven straw hats are actually made in Ecuador, and they always have been. So, why the name? Back in the 19th and early 20th centuries, Ecuador exported these hats through Panama, where they became popular with workers, traders, and tourists passing through. Then came the big fashion breakthrough. President Theodore Roosevelt, photographed in 1906 visiting the Panama Canal wearing one of these hats. The press labeled it a Panama hat, and just like that, Ecuador lost the naming rights to one of its finest exports. In Ecuador, these hats are actually called sombreros de paja toquilla, which, let's be honest, not quite as catchy, but a lot more accurate. So, the next time someone compliments your Panama hat, feel free to say, "Thanks, it's Ecuadorian." They'll be impressed. Or confused. Either way, you win. With a name like Mongolian beef, you might expect a dish straight from the windswept plains of Mongolia. Maybe cooked over a campfire by someone in a fur hat. But no. Mongolian beef is about as Mongolian as spaghetti is Peruvian. It's actually a creation of Chinese-American restaurants, born sometime in the 20th century and designed for Western tastes. The sauce, sweet and savory, thick with soy, garlic, ginger, and sugar. The cooking style, stir-fried, not exactly the traditional fare of nomadic steppe herders. In fact, traditional Mongolian cuisine is all about meat, dairy, and survival. Think boiled mutton, fermented mare's milk, and dried curds. Not sizzling beef glazed in soy sauce with scallions on top. The name Mongolian was likely just slapped on to give it an exotic flair. And hey, it worked. So, the next time you're trying Mongolian beef, know this. You're not tasting Mongolia, you're tasting marketing. Despite the name, the guinea pig is not from Guinea, and it's definitely not a pig. It's the identity crisis of the pet world. A chubby, squeaking rodent that got labeled as a pig from the wrong continent. In reality, guinea pigs originated in South America, where they've been domesticated for thousands of years, especially in what is now Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador. So how did they end up with such a confusing name? One theory is that they arrived in Europe via shipping routes that passed through Guinea, so people just assumed they were from there. Another theory is that the word Guinea was used more loosely at the time to mean somewhere far away and exotic. As for the pig part, that's probably just because of the squealing sounds they make and their general potato-like roundness. But make no mistake, they're rodents from the Andes, and they deserve better than this weird colonial RNA mashup. Still adorable though. With a name like German chocolate cake, you'd think it came from a bakery in Berlin, not a kitchen in Texas. German chocolate cake actually has nothing to do with the country of Germany. The name comes from Samuel German, an English-American baker who, in the 1850s, developed a type of dark baking chocolate for the Baker's Chocolate Company. They named it German's Sweet Chocolate with an apostrophe. Fast forward 100 years to 1957, when Lucy Clay, a homemaker from Dallas, submitted a cake recipe using German's chocolate to a local newspaper. The recipe went viral, or, 1950s viral, where phones had cords and social media was a church bulletin. But somewhere along the way, that apostrophe in German's got dropped, and the cake was suddenly from Germany. Spoiler, it wasn't. It's a 100% American creation, rich, sweet, and sprinkled with a little bit of grammatical chaos. Honestly, still worth every bite. So, German chocolate cake isn't German, even though the name says it is. Now, for the reverse. Here's something that's actually German, but the name sends your brain all the way to China. Chinese checkers is neither Chinese nor checkers. This colorful star-shaped board game was invented in Germany in 1892. It was originally called Sternhalma, a twist on an American game called Halma, but played on a six-pointed star instead of a square grid. So why Chinese? Simple marketing. When the game was introduced in the US, it was rebranded as Hop Ching Checkers to make it sound vaguely exotic, which eventually morphed into Chinese checkers. But hey, not Guinea checkers. At least, the result? A German remake of an American game, pretending to be Chinese. Also, it's not even checkers. Totally different rules. So to recap, not Chinese, not checkers, still kind of fun. With that luxurious fur and elegant attitude, the Persian cat sounds like it should be lounging in some ancient palace in Persia. But the modern Persian cat was developed almost entirely in Europe, especially in Britain and Italy, through centuries of selective breeding. Sure, long-haired cats from Iran, formerly known as Persia, may have inspired the breed, but what we recognize today as a Persian is the result of heavy grooming by breeders far from the Middle East. In fact, those flat faces and puffy coats, that's Victorian era aesthetic engineering, not natural selection. Breeders specifically selected for traits like shortened muscles, larger eyes, and ultra-long coats, gradually creating a cat that looked more like a throw pillow than a predator. Today's show standard Persians would barely survive in the wild, or honestly, even in a mildly inconvenient breeze. By the time they became household icons in the West, there was barely anything Persian left except the name. Still, you have to admit, if any animal was going to be a diva about false branding, it'd be this one. Not really Persian, still extremely judgmental. You use them every single day. 1, 2, 3, 4, the good old Arabic numerals. Except, surprise, they're not actually Arabic. These digits were originally developed in India around the 6th century. Indian mathematicians created the number system, including the concept of zero, which, by the way, was a game changer for human civilization. The numerals spread into the Islamic world, where Arab scholars translated Indian texts and helped refine and popularize the system. From there, they traveled across North Africa and Spain, eventually reaching the rest of Europe during the Middle Ages. So basically, the name comes from the messenger, not the inventor. It's like crediting pizza delivery for inventing the pizza. Today, the system born in India, carried through Arabic scholarship, and adopted by Europe has become the universal language of numbers, a system now used by everyone, everywhere, every single day. So far, we've seen foods, games, and even cats, all things named after the wrong place. But for the grand finale, let's turn the tables. Because this time, it's not a thing named after the wrong place. It's a place named after the wrong person. And that place is no other than America. The name doesn't come from Christopher Columbus, the guy credited in old school textbooks with discovering the New World. Nothing in America sounds like Columbus anyway. Well, apart from Columbia, the country, but nothing in the word America. Well, anyway. Instead, it comes from Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer and navigator. Vespucci was not the first European to arrive in the New World, but he was one of the first to argue that the lands across the Atlantic were not Asia at all, but an entirely new world. In fact, he coined the very term New World, Mundus Novus in Latin. Impressed by his writings, early 16th century mapmakers labeled the new continents as America, using the Latin version of his first name. And after a while, half the globe was named after a man who didn't discover it, but helped recognize it as something new. To make things even more tangled, there are theories that the word America might also have roots in indigenous names, like the Amerique Mountains in Nicaragua. But Vespucci's name is the one that's stuck in history books. So, yes, the continent of skyscrapers, Hollywood, and hamburgers is carrying the name of a man who didn't technically discover it, but convinced the people that this was, in fact, a whole new world. So, maybe this name isn't quite as wrong after all. And there you have it, 10 things named after the wrong place, and whole 2 continents named after the wrong guy. Which one blew your mind the most? The French fries that were in French? The cat that wasn't Persian? Or the fact that half the world is basically misnamed? Drop your favorite down in the comments, or let us know if you've got another misnamed marvel we should feature next time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep your brain sharp. Because the world is full of stories that sound weird or wrong, but are absolutely true.